What is good, Ninja? OJ over here from Player Essence, and welcome to another PE Nintendo Switch and gaming news video. Today, we have some awesome information for you guys. Like always, so let's go ahead and get right into it. The Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection Nintendo Switch trailer is live. That just went live recently on Nintendo's channel, which is really cool because you get a ton of different games. And I wanted to talk about this one just a little bit. So as you guys are checking out the trailer here, I'll read the little description that Nintendo has on their official YouTube channel. So it says, celebrate the 30th anniversary of the iconic Street Fighter franchise with the ultimate tribute to its arcade legacy in the Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection coming to Nintendo Switch in May 2018. This content-rich all-in-one package highlights the series' past, an anthology of 12 classic titles. And a lot of people on Nintendo Switch, especially if you go to the comment section, a lot of the Switch users are like, man, I'm dumb for buying Ultra Street Fighter 2 on the Nintendo Switch, especially with this game coming out, and it has 4 separate games with online play, 12 different titles, just so much more content for literally the same price. So my one thing to all the people who bought it and people who talked about the game, and it was one of those things that you have to be cautious with when it comes to Capcom, because if you buy something from Capcom, any type of game, if they release some type of remaster or something, the chances of them remastering it again then giving you better value later has always been apparent. Capcom is notorious for this when it comes to anything. They will take a game, they'll remaster the game, and they'll remaster the game, and they'll remaster the game and add stuff each time, and each time that they remaster or put it back out, the deals get sweeter and sweeter. And this is how Capcom's been operating for the past decade or so. They've been doing this like with Okami, they've been doing this with just various other franchises. Devil May Cry will just continuously remaster and remaster and remaster. Even if they've already remastered in HD, they will remaster the HD like they're doing with Devil May Cry, for example. That was already an HD remaster that they brought out to last generation. Well, they're remastering it with just like the re-release. So I wouldn't even say remastering it, just the re-release of the same HD remaster, but on systems again. So they'll even re-release the re-releases. So this is something that you have to be aware of when it comes to Capcom, and that's the reason why I don't really buy a lot of Capcom games when they first launch or when they first come out, just because they'll always have a sweeter deal. And I usually tend to wait for the sweetest deal that I can wait for, and then I wait a little bit longer just to make sure. So yeah, that's just one thing that you have to just be a buyer's beware when it comes to Capcom, because a lot of Ultra Street Fighter 2 users are not necessarily mad because they've had a lot of fun with Ultra Street Fighter 2, and obviously Ultra Street Fighter 2 came out a year before this whole collection, and you're able to play Street Fighter online, and it worked well and all that, but just, there's like, man, like I shouldn't have bought it, you know, because look at this for the same price. So this is one of those things where, yep, this is typical Capcom, right? Typical Capcom, and like they're not throwing any Nintendo Switch owners any type of sorry or discount or anything like that. They're just like, well, you know, yeah, this is it. So what do you guys think about this in terms of the Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection? We'll be picking this one up $39.99 May this year. I don't know exactly when in May. We'll get details on that later. But yeah, what do you guys think about this? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Alright, and moving into the next article here, we have a game that I'm actually really looking forward to, and that is Dandara, and that is hitting the Nintendo Switch this February. So we have a little bit of a target release date for the game. So let's get into why I'm excited about this game and what this game is all about. So the player controls the character Dandara in a 2D adventure platformer. The goal is to traverse through the final levels, defeating enemies and bosses along the way. Movement is done by aiming the targeting reticle and using the jump button to navigate to a nearby platform, floor, wall, or ceiling. Combat is done by holding the primary fire button and releasing a charged shot in the direction of the aiming reticle, as well as by dodging incoming projectiles. Throughout the game, Dandara will acquire health and weapon power-ups, which will grant new abilities and access to new areas of the map that were previously inaccessible. Here are the features of the game: innovative controls built natively for both the Nintendo Switch screen and traditional controller inputs. Movement and combat interact smoothly and seamlessly. Boundless exploration. Traverse across esoteric world of salt through fast and fluid jumps off any surface, unhindered by gravity and lovingly crafted environments. challenging progression, a use of combination of speed and skill, wits and reflexes to solve puzzles, earn power-ups, and access areas previously unreachable. Beautiful and immersive world. A visual and auditory wonderland comes to life through gorgeous handcrafted pixel art and original soundtrack compositions. So if you notice throughout the thing here, they're really highlighting what the Nintendo Switch can do in terms of the game. I know it's coming to Nintendo Switch first before it hits other platforms in terms of consoles, so they're really just targeting that Nintendo Switch base. And some of the controls here really line up. They talk about being able to play in portable mode compared to being able to play docked to the TV. The controls are still going to feel good with the Joy-Cons if you're playing it in handheld, so that's really good. I like to see that because, believe it or not, some games play better on the TV than they do in portable mode, or sometimes it just feels a bit different playing with the Pro Controller compared to where the button placements are when you're playing docked up to the TV. So it's good to know that they have that prioritized in terms of the controls when you're playing portably compared to when you're playing on the TV, vice versa. Being able to kind of like ninja jump from area to area is really cool, and the control scheme is innovative. It's a bit innovative as far as what they're trying to do. It doesn't control traditionally as what you would expect for this type of 2D game, but then again, you're jumping all over the place as far as on the walls, then back down and everything. So it's looking really good. I like the pixel art. It's not my favorite type of art style when used for independent games, but at the same time, I can enjoy a nice pixel art game here or there, and you combine that with some good controls in addition to some fast gameplay, then I think you might have something that's pretty special here. Now, Dandara is hitting the Nintendo Switch sometime this February, so we don't have an exact release date, but we've got a target release window as far as what they're aiming for. And this is one of the independent games that Nintendo showed off quite a while back. I think last year sometime during that first Nindies Direct, they showed it off and it was looking pretty cool. So it's been a while for this one. We've been kind of seeing it for quite some time now, but they're really just trying to polish it up and make sure it's ready to go when it does hit the Nintendo Switch this February. So what do you guys think about Dandara coming over? Are you guys excited for this style of independent game coming to Nintendo Switch? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Alright, and moving into the last article here, Nintendo has further explained Skyrim's influence on the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild on the Nintendo Switch and the Wii U. So before the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild came out, Anuma-san made some waves when he mentioned that he spent some time with Skyrim, and many believed that this meant the next Legend of Zelda game was going to be very similar to Skyrim. And if you're talking about in today's term, obviously the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and Skyrim are completely different games. There are some things here and there that are kind of influenced from it, but for the most part, they're completely different games. They don't operate the same at all. And the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is just far bigger and just far more, just the way that it plays is just so different in terms of what you can do compared to Skyrim. So they're not necessarily the same, but they have talked about this in a recent interview when it comes to things. But Anuma-san and Mr. Fuji also talked about the influence of this in a recent interview. So let's go ahead and get into what Mr. Fuji had to say first. Quote, "I don't actually myself play a lot of other games. I obviously am well versed in them. I know what's happening in them, but this ending up in this kind of bigger open world really started from the prototype stage where just kind of naturally by virtue of what we wanted to do in the game, we started to realize that we absolutely do need this bigger open world in order to make the kind of game that we wanted." And here's what Anuma-san had to say on the matter. Quote, "In the past, I've also actually said that I have played Skyrim, so it's not necessarily that I don't play games, but we don't look at it from, oh, what kind of things can we take from this game? It's more like, how can we prepare for this? What should we expect from games like this? And so we also think about how many people we might need or how we can make it improved or with the number of people. We would collect data and then work and see what worked and what did it." So they're kind of just skirting around a little bit. Mr. Fuji is just like, hey man, I don't really play nothing else. I gotta work on this Zelda thing. And I think Mr. Fuji is a little bit of a different position, obviously, because he was the lead producer of this game. I mean, Anuma-san was looking over everything, but in terms of rallying everyone and kind of the nitty gritty in the trenches, so I would think that like it would be like Mr. Fuji is the head coach and Anuma is like the general manager, you know, of the whole thing. And then of course Kimishima would be the owner, right? So I think it's kind of like that to put it into a little bit more of a literal sense. So Mr. Fuji, he doesn't really have much time to do anything else, especially with this type of game. They've been working on it since what? After Skyward Sword was completed. So 2012, 2013, they were probably starting to put together things. 2014, really getting into the nitty gritty. The game was supposed to launch in 2014. So yeah, that's another thing. And then it was delayed to 2015, then 2016, then 2017. So Mr. Fuji hasn't had much time to do anything because he's been working like crazy just to get this game working on the Nintendo Switch and on the Wii U. Heck, if you look at some of the interviews that they've been talking about, Mr. Fuji talks about the physics breaking, the engine breaking all the time, and them having to fix it, like painstakingly having to fix things and see where it went with all the physics and other things that you can do. And it's just amazing how much stuff is in Breath of the Wild and how the game doesn't break or crash itself for the most part. I know there were some issues with some people, but for the most part, it wasn't like a Fallout or like Elder Scrolls or like some of the other open world games that we've seen come out that have so many elements to it. So it's one of those things I think that Skyrim maybe had just a tiny bit from Anuma-san's perspective, but at the same time, Mr. Fuji's the one that's really in there kind of thinking, hey, this is what we're going to do. But of course, Anuma is part of that plan. They all work together as a team, just like a general manager and a head coach would work together in order to build the best possible team that they can build. And what do you guys think about Skyrim in comparison to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild? The more and more that I played both of those games, because I've been playing Skyrim and of course I've played Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild a ton, the more there's really nothing I like between the two. Like, you start seeing a lot of stuff, I mean, maybe just a little bit, but they're different, but they can appeal to the same audience. I think there's a lot of people who like Zelda and who also like Skyrim. So what do you guys think about all this? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. All right, Ninja, that wraps it up for this video here. Go ahead and check out the links in the description below. We've got Facebook, we've got Twitter. Go ahead and give us a like and a follow on our social media. Really helps to spread the content of Player Essence across the interwebs in addition to YouTube. Also, make sure you check out our Patreon and YouTube live gaming page. Consider supporting Player Essence. When you do so, it gets you access to all sorts of cool benefits, perks, rewards, and emotes via YouTube sponsorship. But check out the link in the description below and consider supporting Player Essence right here on YouTube. Hit that like button if you did like this video. Lets me know you guys want more content like this going forward in the future. And subscribe to Player Essence for the latest RPG, Japanese, and Nintendo gaming news. Thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you for the next video. Peace.